Hello, and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video, we're going to start looking at Gatecrash, which is part 2 of the Return to Ravnica block. So in Gatecrash, what we have here is another 5 decks which are covering the 5 guilds that weren't in Return to Ravnica, which is, like I said in the first Return to Ravnica video, a little differently how original Ravnica did it, where we had a sort of a 4-3-3 split, and here we have a 5-5 split, and then in Dragon's Maze we just kind of have a repeat of some guilds, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We've got to get through Gatecrash first. So we're going to start off by looking at Boros Battalion, which is the white-red deck, obviously about the Boros Legion. So let's have a look at the deck list. So 25 creatures, 4 sorceries, 4 instants, 2 artifacts, and 25 land. Mana curve off to the side there. And yeah, let's just dive in, start looking at the cards in this deck. So the foil face rare is Foundry Champion, so 4 a red and a white for a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, it does damage to target creature or player equal to the number of creatures you control, and you can pay a red to give it +1/+0 to land turn, and you can pay a white to give it +0/+1 to land a turn. So yeah, this is, I think kind of okay. It's a deck that wants to kind of go wide with a bunch of creatures because that is basically the new Boros keyword, Battalion, which we'll look at on the next card. Yeah, it's a deck that really wants to go wide with a bunch of creatures, constantly attack. So yeah, I think honestly, when Foundry Champion comes down, that just might be your finisher. Like, it comes down, just does maybe like a bunch of damage to your opponent that you've probably been attacking throughout the game anyway. So feels like maybe Foundry Champion would never actually get to do any attacking itself. But if it does, at least it's got this kind of like fire breathing ability if needs be. It can pump up its toughness also if needs be. And by the time you drop it, you got 6 mana open, so you can put quite a lot of mana into those abilities, I suppose. But I think the main thing is that when it enters, does a whole bunch of damage. So yeah, I think this is an okay foil face rare. I would have made Firemane Avenger the foil face rare though, because I think this would look amazing in foil. So 2 colors, red and white for a 3/3 flyer. So it has the Battalion keyword. So this is the new Boros keyword. So in original Ravnica, they had Radiance, which was not great, honestly. It was all right. It was all right, and what was frustrating about Radiance. It required such a small tweak to make it a million times better, but also it had like nothing to do with like combat, which is what red white should be doing. So I'm really glad this new Battalion keyword is a lot more suitable, I think. So Battalion is whenever the creature with Battalion and at least 2 other creatures attack, you get its Battalion ability. So in this case, Firemane Avenger, whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, it does Lightning Helix, which is amazing. Just throws out a free Lightning Helix doing 3 damage to a creature or player, and you gain 3 life. So yeah, really fun card. I say I would have loved this to be the foil face rare instead of Foundry Champion. It feels like much splashier. And it's using the guild's keywords, so yeah, really don't understand why it wasn't the foil face rare. But yeah, this is like really solid. Like just 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer is fine anyway, I think. Yeah, and this Battalion ability just to throw out free Lightning Helixes is pretty great. And it's I say it's if you're a brand new player picking this up, it's pushing you towards the deck strategy, which is attack with everything all the time and get benefits for doing so. Like, you're giving you all the incentives for committing to the deck strategy, and you get a really good reward out of this. So there's a bunch of other Battalion creatures in the deck, so we'll look at all those. So we've got 2 Daring Skyjacks, so 1 and a white for a 3/1. Battalion, whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, it gets flying to end turn. So yep, this is all right. Obviously, what can be really fun is you just attack with a bunch of Battalion creatures, and they all help each other out, and they all get their bonuses, which is, I think what the intended strategy is they all help each other out, and they're all getting their bonuses, which is pretty cool, I think. So yeah, Daring Skyjack's pretty good. Potentially being a 3/1 flyer for only 2 mana is quite good, I think. Really packs a real punch in the air. A single Boros Elite, 1 white mana for a 1/1. Battalion, it gets +2/+2 to turn. So yeah, it jumps all the way up to 3/3, so it can really like punch up. Really wish there'd been sort of more than 1 in here, I think, because it's pretty solid, I think, for a 1-drop. And then 2 Warmind Infantry, 2 in a red for a 2/3. Battalion, it gets +2/+0 under turn, so higher base stats than the Boros Elite. Yeah, and yeah, but obviously doesn't increase its toughness, but it's fine. It goes up to a 4/3 when it attacks. So yeah, 4/3 when attacking, and it's 3 mana. Yeah, again, this is I think perfectly fine at like 3 mana and common. Yeah, so this is all pretty good, I think. A single Fire Fist Striker, 1 red for a 2/1. It was Battalion, a creature can't block this turn, which is pretty good. Again, would have maybe liked one more of these in here, really, just to mess around with blocking and stuff, because, you know, if you're attacking with a load of things, you probably also want to reduce your opponent's ability to block. So, yeah, again, having like this as a repeatable effect, I think, is pretty solid. Just remove your opponent's best blocker each time it attacks. Well, not each time it attacks, each time it attacks and gets Battalion, you know what I mean. A single Bomber Core, so 1 red for 1/2. Battalion, it does 1 damage to a creature or player. So yeah, it's fine. A bit of, you know, kill off X1s, or, you know, sneaking an extra point of damage into your opponent. Yeah, again, I think this is pretty solid. I think all the Battalion creatures are honestly just really solid. Like, there's not much to say about them, you know? Like, they just have very simple, straightforward, like, decent effects. And yeah, it's like there's not like kind of like subtlety to use them. It's just you just attack with everything and you get the benefits. It's very, you know, very straightforward deck, honestly. And then 3 Wojtek Halberdiers, 1 red and 1 white for a 3/2, which is like fairly good stats, just 2 mana for a 3/2. And Battalion, it gets first strike turn. So yeah, again, like really solid. I suppose the only thing with the Battalion creatures is maybe, I mean, like, even then, I was gonna say, like, oh, like, maybe if you don't get the Battalion ability going off, like, they're not good, but like, they're still costs okay. Like, Fire Fist Striker is still like a 2/1 for 2, which is like Goblin Piker stats, which is not wonderful, but like, it doesn't have a drawback or anything. The same with the Wojtek Halberdiers, like, it's still a 3/2, even if you're not getting the Battalion ability, and like a 3/2 for 2 mana is fine as well. So yeah, it's like they're not even cost as if like their Battalion ability is always guaranteed to go off, which is, you know, kind of what I expect if seeing like with older cards. Like, I remember like with the Rakdos cards like Hellbent, like they were costed assuming like your Hellbent was always active. Yeah, so I'm really glad that these are costed sort of like at base stats, and then the Battalion is like the free bonus. You know, the cost being that you have to kind of work for it a little bit. So yeah, I like these. I like these aren't overcosted. And then a single Ordering Veteran, 2 red and a white for a 3/1. So this one's actually maybe a little overcosted, but its Battalion ability is pretty good. It gets double strike until end of turn. So yeah, it become 3/1 double striker, which is, you know, pretty difficult to deal with, I suppose. So yeah, this is all right. Maybe that's the only overcosted Battalion one that I can think of. So that's all the Battalion creatures. So then we have a Guild Mage, as is tradition. So 1 red and 1 white for a 2/2. You can pay 1 red, 1 colorless, 1 red, 1 white to give all your creatures +1/+0 turn. So this is fine, just like a, you know, board-wide buff. You spend 2, a red and a white, to make a 1/1 red and white soldier token. Yeah, which is and it has haste as well, which is good. So you know, just make it and immediately attack with it. Yes, it's fine. Just, it's nice that it makes tokens that might help you then hit your like Battalion requirement. So yeah, pretty solid Guild Mage, I think. And then a nice combo actually with the Guild Mage is the Court Street Denizen. So 2 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever another white creature enters the battlefield under control, tap target creature an opponent controls. So yeah, with the Guild Mage, this can be 2 red, 1 white. Make a 1/1 hasty soldier and also tap a creature down. But like, even if you're not doing the producing tokens, like, this is just like a fine like passability to have. It's like I suppose like it's a master decoy effect that you've got to kind of like jump through some hoops through as well. Like, it doesn't, I mean, the Court Street doesn't itself tap to use its ability. So yeah, if you just, I don't know, played a bunch of creatures in one turn, just tap a bunch of creatures again, it just gets blockers out of the way. So yeah, Court Street Denizen is pretty fun. Really fun little actually white common card, actually, like, really goes really nicely in because it's a soldier as well. Like, if yeah, if you're playing like Construct at the time, you can make a kind of little fun soldier deck, make one, you know, play cards that make a bunch of soldier tokens, and yeah, and then just tap everything down. Yeah, and it's pretty fun little card. All these denizens actually were, because it was a cycle. I think they're all pretty good cards. The Ivy Street one, the green one, I remember is actually being really good because it gives +1/+1 counters. Yeah, all the others are fine as well. Anyway, so we have 2 Fortress Cyclops, 3 a red and white for a 3/3. Whenever it attacks, it gets +3/+0 turn to turn. Whenever it blocks, it gets +0/+3 turn to turn. Really like this design. Just really nice, simple, but effective design here. So 6/3 when it attacks and 3/6 when it blocks. Yeah, really solid. I think. Just yeah, not much I can say about it. On it, it's just very solid. Yeah. We have 2 Sky Knight Legionnaires, so this is a reprint from original Ravnica. Unfortunately, not using the original Ravnica's much better art. Like, I'm not keen on this art at all. Like, no, no hint at all that yeah, it has flying or anything. Just weirdly thrusting the crotch into the camera, I suppose. But anyway. So 1 red, 1 white for a 2/2 flying haste. Yep, really just very straightforward red-white creature. Yeah, I think 3 mana for a 2/2 flying and haste is absolutely, you know, perfect. And yeah, it's another thing that can help trigger a battalion because you can attack with it straight away. And yeah, it's fine. You know, be very aggressive. And yeah, it's cool. Single armored transport, so 3 mana for a 2/1 artifact creature. You prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to armored transport by creatures blocking it. So this is actually, I kind of wish there'd been more than one of these, because this is like a nice safe way of kind of triggering battalion, because this can attack, be immune to combat damage. And, you know, obviously it counts as attacking creature, so then all your battalion abilities go off. So yeah, I actually would really like to see at least another one of these, actually. I think it's pretty cool. And also just artwork-wise, it's pretty cool. It's just like a big spider tank thing, which is pretty fun. Yeah, so would have been cool to have another one of those. But yeah, so I think it's a pretty solid little creature at common. And then a bit of filler, honestly. So a single Ember Beast, so 2 in a red for a 3/4. It can't attack or block alone. Not really a drawback in this deck, because I think you're pretty much always going to be attacking with multiple creatures. And yeah, this is obviously like pretty well costed for its size as well. Like 3 mana for a 3/4. Sure, yeah, it's good. And then 2 Canyon Minotaurs, just 3 in red for a 3/3. Sure, just a bit of filler. And then 2 Warclamp Mastiff, 1 white for just a 1/1 first strike. Again, just a bit of filler, but better than the Canyon Minotaur. Canyon Minotaur's an easy cut in this, as it usually is in these decks. So move on to non-creature spells. So we've got a single aerial maneuver, so 1 and a white to give a creature +1/+1 flying and first strike turn 10. This is like a really good little combo platter here of keywords and bonuses as a combat trick. You know, giving flying at instant speed is obviously good for a bit of evasion. Giving first strike at instant speed is usually a very good combat trick as well. Like, it works on both attack and defense. Yeah, I think it's like a really solid little trick, and it's just a shame there's only just like one of them. A single righteous charge, 1 and 2 white, sorcery, creatures you control get +2/+2 turn. So I think this is a reprint from Portal of all things, which is weird. But yeah, it's just a board wide +2/+2 for 3 mana. It's fine. Yeah. And then a single shielded passage, 1 white mana, prevent all damage that would be dealt to target creature this turn. This is quite weak, I think, as a combat trick. I think even at the time, this would have been like not great, because it's, you know, it's only just 1 creature, isn't it? It's no, I don't know. I generally, I think things like this are not really worth a card slot. If this like, I don't know, if this like drew you a card as well, I think it'd be okay. Like, because it's such a small effect, right? Just prevent. I know it is all damage. It's not just like combat damage. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just very unimpressive as a trick, I think. Not saying it wouldn't be useful in some cases, but like, I don't think an effect like this is worth a card, honestly. I say, if it drew you a card as well, I think it'd be fine then. But I think it's such a small effect. It's just kind of not worth it. Single act of treason. We all know what act of treason does. 2 in a red, you gain control of a creature until end turn. You untap it, gets haste on turn. Yep, just steal opponent's creature, swing with it. Yep, classic. A single mark for death. This is kind of interesting. I like this card. So 3 in a red. A creature an opponent controls blocks this turn available, and it gets untapped. Other creatures that player controls can't block this turn. So it's really fun. You just like pick one creature and be like, right, you're blocking everything. Well, he's not blocking everything, because obviously you can't block everything you attack with. But this is kind of like a fun way of, like, if you want like definitely like a little utility creature to die, or like if you just want one specific creature to die, you know, they still get a choice of how it blocks, I suppose. But I think it's pretty interesting. It's pretty flavorful. I think the most interesting bit is just saying that other creatures can't block. You know, just all but one creature blocks, and then the rest of the stuff gets through. So yeah, I think it's like a pretty fun little fun little card. A single mugging, so 1 red mana, does 2 damage to target creature, and it can't block this turn. So those effects are kind of at odds with each other. You're either killing an X2 or a bigger creature is just unable to block this turn. So actually quite a few ways of getting blockers out of the way in this deck, which is good because you're going to be attacking a lot. But yeah, again, it's a shame there's only kind of like one of these. And then 2 Arrows of Justice, so 2 and red-white hybrid mana. In speed does 4 damage to an attacking or blocking creature. Yep, this is kind of effect we usually sort of associate with white anyway, doing damage to a creature but only during combat. Yeah, I think this is like a perfectly fine little burn spell here. The fact is it's maybe a little overcosted for what it does, like, but the flexibility is that you can cast it with red or white, I suppose. And then 2 Boros key runes, another key rune, they're back in Gatecrash. So 3 mana for an artifact gives you taps to give you red or white, and you pay 1 red and 1 white to turn it into a 1/1 red and white soldier artifact creature with double strike until end turn. So yeah, animating this into a double striker is pretty fun. You can find ways to buff it up, that's pretty good. But even then, just like a 1/1 double strike is like fine. Like late game, like if you don't need the mana rock, like turning it into like a fairly decent creature is is a perfectly good option. And then a single guild gate and 12 plains and 12 mountains. So what could have been? So I actually would have liked to see some more combat tricks in here. Like I think the creature selection is basically fine. Obviously you got like the Canyon Minotaur, which is not ideal, but I think overall, I think the creature selection is fine. I think this deck really wants like more combat tricks, honestly, because it's got like an okay selection, but it's just like one of them, and yeah, just could have been better. So Martial Glory, I think, would have been pretty fun in here. So it's basically giant growth that you can spread around between 2 creatures. So 1 red, 1 white. 1 creature gets +3/+0 until end turn, and 1 creature gets +0/+3 till end turn. So this is kind of fun. Obviously, you can put it just on 1 creature to give it +3/+3, or you can spread it out and potentially tip 2 combats. Because you could put the power boost on 1 creature and it kills whatever it's blocking or blocked by, and do it on do the toughness boost on another one, and that survives what it's blocking, and you get what I mean. Also, Boros Charm. Let's just have Boros Charm. This is, potentially the best of the Ravnica charms, because it's really strong. So 1 red, 1 white. It either does 4 damage to a player, which is, I mean, just just 2 mana at instant speed to do 4 damage is pretty strong. Or all your stuff is indestructible this turn, which is also very strong. Or a creature gets double strike to turn, which is like a pretty good combat trick. So yeah, just one of these I think would have been amazing, because it's so good. It's so good. It feels like such a disappointment that like none of these decks had their charms in them, And then alternate rare. So the Firemane Avenger I think is really good. Like I said, I think that should have been the foil face rare. The Foundry Champion is okay. But what I think would have been kind of better or more interesting is the Angelic Skirmisher. So 4 and double white for a 4/4 flyer. At the beginning of each combat, choose First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink creature you control. Get that ability till end turn. So really good like board wide boost. Give everything a keyword. Until end turn is really strong. Honestly, like this I think would be also like a finisher like the Foundry Champion. Maybe you have to jump through a few more hoops and stuff, but like it's playing to what the deck wants to do, which is make your creatures better in combat, whereas the Foundry Champion just comes in and baths a bunch of damage and then it's just kind of there. The Skirmisher at least does something a bit more interesting, I think. And I always like this kind of like white card, just going off on a tangent here. I really like this sub theme that white usually has of like granting keywords and stuff. I always think that's pretty cool. Stuff like concerted effort, or we see a lot in sort of more recent sets as well. There's the one from Strixhaven, which I can't remember, and it's like an uncommon level, and it's the one like it gets this keyword if you control a creature that also has those keywords, that kind of thing. I just think that's really nice design space for white. But anyway, I would have been sort of happy with any of these cards here if they would have been in the deck. But in summary, overall, I think it's pretty solid. I don't think it's particularly bad in any way. I like the new battalion keyword for Boros. I think that's pretty cool. It's a lot more straightforward than Radiance was, which was kind of a bit all over the place. It had a bit of a learning curve to it. This is just really nice, straightforward. I think it would play probably pretty well out of the box. You just got a bunch of small, fast, aggressive creatures, and that's what Boros is about, really. So I quite like this one. What are your thoughts on the deck after seeing it? If you have any stories or thoughts or comments or opinions about the deck or any of the cards in it, stick a comment below. Always like reading those. But I'll be back next time to look at another Gatecrash intro pack. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.